课的是富人税啊。那请问各位，现在汽车是不是民生必需品了？
是。
那国税局竟然还可以持续的没有修改这样过时的法律，依旧用惩罚式的方式来课这样子的税。
去除呢，就是因为我们的转型正义没有真正的落实，让这些威权遗毒还遗留在我们的官僚，遗留在我们的法条之中。这也是为什么我们需要更多人来了解转型正义的重要性。因为如果今天我们不了解，下一个被威权霸凌的就会是在座我们各位每一位好朋友。那今天呢，也有几位威权霸凌、反威权以及转型正义的专家也来到了现场，来为我们解析到底我们生活中还有多少威权体制的遗毒。那接下来我们有请白色恐怖政治受难者陈清生先生。
陈先生好。
大家好，我又上台了。简单的，我这个是介绍我跟自己就好了，因为他们只希望我所讲，我当时在没有人权的时代里面所受到的这些创伤啊。我是1949年生于马来西亚这个国家，1967年我从马来西亚来到台湾这个土地。在1971年的时候呢，我因为常常到台南的一个地方叫做美国新闻处去看书，就因为这样子，1970年台南美国新闻处就发生了一个小小的爆炸案。这个爆炸案在1971年的时候，台南市的调查局的干员就把我锁定了。他说这个所谓的这个爆炸案是我去策划，是我去的执行的。在我无知之下，在我完全不知道这件事情之下，台南的调查站的人就把我带到台北来。经过2个礼拜非常残酷的寻求，让我承认我不曾做过的事情，这个就是违背了那个所谓的人权的观念。在这个状况之下，我莫名其妙的，我几几乎乎被他整的失去了生命。我也曾经在这段2个礼拜的时间里面，我曾经想办法结束自己的生命。一个人会想到结束自己的生命，在什么地方的状况是什么情况之下呢？那就是因为没有办法承受加诸于他身上的伤害，加诸于他身上的压力，不管是精神上的或者是肉体上的压力，我就在这种状况下企图结束自己的生命。很幸运的，我没有成功。在这个所谓的爆炸案结束以后呢，他如何去在寻求我呢？第一，
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Casey. Hello.
48到50
How are we doing?
不能吃，不能喝，不能睡，
Doing well.
也不能
I'm
上
in the
厕所。
Netherlands.
所以在这种状况下，你
Very great weather.
磨到你根本
Rainy
不想
day.
下去。
How's it going
Yes.
in
在这
London?
个状况之下，我曾经
We're the same, yeah. So it's been pouring since this morning. So there's a lot going on at the
你
moment.
自己
I
做过的
believe.
事情，你比我们清楚，请你好好的写下来。
As we can see right now in Taipei, the weather is so well. It's getting dark, but the
getting
weather
dark,
is
yes.
yeah, it's also not so nice. But we can see that there are tens and thousands of people gathering right now in this demonstration. And I am really surprised because this is a Tuesday evening, and what makes people want to go onto streets to
今天我的五官、耳朵、眼睛、鼻子都不好，就是因为那时候那个星球所留下来的那个后遗症。最后一种最痛的方式呢，他就把我的手压在大桌子上面，然后用那个大头针往你的指甲跟那个肉里面打下去。这种痛苦，我相信各位都应该体会得到。在这种状况下，这个案子很
forward and understand this a little bit more. Yeah.
And actually, I recall, Casey, I think the two of us actually were also in this event 3 years ago. We were also online, I think back then, that was 2020, during pandemic times.
Exactly. Yeah, that was very different because everybody was doing online, and there's still quite a lot of happenings in Catalan back then. But I think one of the main things that we find tonight is that there's a prolonged extension of all the demonstrations that couldn't have happened 3 years ago. It's pretty resounding. I think the activities are ongoing. I see a lot of passion, a lot of understanding about what we believe in. Even after all these years, the younger generation has sort of joined us in providing support for our cases that is unfortunately still, unfounded in many ways. Yeah, we're pretty amazed with the response tonight.
Yes, I think what strikes me is really, it feels like a deja vu because it was 3 years ago, we were also connected online, and then we were seeing this demonstration also in Taiwan, and 3 years after, the case is still not solved. And there were still so many very sad incidents going on in Taiwan. And moreover, I think this is actually the 13th time that people actually went onto the street to protest and ask for reform on tax and taxation and legal reform. So it's very sad for me that today we're seeing this again. But then on the other hand, it's great to know that so many people care for this and so many people are on the streets to fighting for human rights, right? And I think just now on the stage there were some youngsters and they were talking about when you buy a car in Taiwan, the levy, the tax is as high as 52%. I am really surprised because I don't know the situation in the United Kingdom. Maybe Casey, you want to share about this? What do you think?
Well, I actually believe the young generation has something to stand up for. In Taipei, considering a car is perhaps a necessity if you have a family. So I think here, right here in the UK, there isn't a lot of restrictions on taxation in terms of buying a car. Push of vehicles, and I think they really stand the test of time in terms of taxation and all. But one of the things that we know is that it is not as costly to buy a car here. We felt like if you look at a case back in Taipei, it felt like the Taxation Bureau or the tax reform hasn't really happened because it's like you're not actually buying a car, you're buying the salaries or the tax that you pay for the car. It goes to how the Taxation Bureau works. So yeah, I think it's not as different as you see buying a car here, but the impact of people trying to understand how much they put in terms of money in the car, in anything that they have to use. It is pretty much a thing when you calculate the total cost and you see such a big chunk going to the Taxation Bureau, it doesn't seem correct. Yeah. In my opinion, neither in the eyes of the young people.
Yes, I fully agree with you. I think in the Netherlands, we also don't see such a high taxation when you buy a car. And I can imagine that in Taiwan, many young people, they find it very difficult, very difficult to live nowadays with very low salaries, wages, and yet very high taxation. And I think the whole point of having taxation is actually to also increase the welfare benefits of people. So when you see tax is not used in a just way, that hurts people even more. And I think that is the reason why we are seeing so many people right now on the street protesting and requesting for a legal and tax reform, especially young people. I'm just still very surprised because I think on a Tuesday evening, normally you want to go home after work and you want to relax in your sofa, but instead so many young people right now are gathering together to ask for this. And I think right now, what would be good, especially for audience in front of the channel, to have a quick review about one specific case that we focus today, and that is the Tai Ji Men case. So we will play a very short video. We'll play a very short video now, so everyone can have a quick recap about what happened to Tai Ji Men case, because that's one of the main reasons we are here today.
我希望政府能够根据历史事实，把这个事情根据这个真相，根据当时的状况之下所造成他伤害，建立 SOP 的方式来讲，防止往后的台湾的朋友们受到相同的灾害，这是所谓政治人权。到今天为止，我们也期待着另外一个他没有做到的最苦让我最难过的事情，就是到今天为止，我站在这个地方，我们争取从1992年我们就开始争取。 所谓的转型正义，现在唯一的就是说，所谓的加害者在哪里？谁是加害者？
No illegal activities were found, leading to the cases being closed. However, prosecutor Ho Kwon-jen deployed a large number of law enforcement officers against due process, raided Tai Ji Men with the media, and froze the accounts of its leader. Despite the account only holding over 610,000 new Taiwan dollars, reports claimed Tai Ji Men had committed fraud, amounting to 3.1 billion new Taiwan dollars, alleging tax evasion. Prosecutor Ho Kwon-jen detained the Tai Ji Men Zhongmenren and his wife for nearly 4 months, without finding any unlawful behavior. He coerced tax official Shi Yuxing to give false testimony, incorporating the fabricated statements into the indictment against Tai Ji Men in 1997. However, the prosecutor's charges contained logical inconsistencies, accusing both embezzlement and tax evasion for the same amount concurrently in the indictment. The monetary gifts that the dizi give to their shifu, following the tradition to show respect to their shifu, were considered tax-exempt income under Income Tax Act and did not require taxation. However, the National Taxation Bureau penalized Tai Ji Men for 6 years under the guise of Qigong groups from establishing cram schools, thus making it impossible for Tai Ji Men to be categorized as such.
We still want to emphasize that Tai Ji Men is absolutely not a cram school. Tai Ji Men has made contributions in national sports, family cohesion, and education, and we affirm that.
The former Central Area National Taxation Bureau Director Yang Chunghua and Taipei National Taxation Bureau Director Chong Xingford were present at a public hearing and explicitly knew that Tai Ji Men was not a cram school. Despite this, they unlawfully issued tax bills under the guise of a cram school. In 2007, after 3 trials at the Supreme Court, Tai Ji Men was confirmed innocent of fraud and tax evasion. The Tai Ji Men shifu and dizi received state compensation for wrongful imprisonment. Despite winning several administrative trials regarding the tax case, out of the 6 tax bills based on the same facts, 5 were resolved lawfully. However, the National Taxation Bureau persisted in enforcing the erroneous tax bill for the year 1992, refusing to revoke it, even going so far as to auction off Tai Ji Men's planned site for self-cultivation illegally, reclaiming it as government property, and distributing performance bonuses in 2020. This case drew international attention, with international organizations repeatedly reporting to the United Nations, condemning Taiwan's government for its unfair treatment of Tai Ji Men. Over the years, the government's unjust actions and defamation against Tai Ji Men have subjected many Taiwanese people to physical and mental persecution. The international community continues to monitor this case. Freedom and human rights are core values of democratic nations. The government should promptly resolve the Tai Ji Men human rights persecution case to further Taiwan's progress as a more prosperous and advanced model of Asian democracy.
Well, Casey, I don't know what is your view on this, but I'm very, very surprised even till today about many facts about this case. I think number one, it's been 27 years, almost 3 decades, and the case remains unsolved. I'm very curious, what do you think from your point of view? What is the reason that the Taiwanese government does not want to solve the case?
Yeah. I mean, I have great sentiments on this because I think such tyranny must be stopped. It also feels like the legislative or the law system within Taiwan has no top and bottom. The ladder is infinite. There's no top, there's no bottom. In fact, I think the legislative or the Taxation Bureau's regulations are completely not there. It felt like, there's a year where there's taxation being sort of submitted, and they still insisted that it has to be taxed, disregarding all the previous years, So it felt like there must be something going on, like there wasn't a rule, there wasn't a procedure, there wasn't any understanding about how things are going to be regulated, because I think in this country we have the regulation authorities, and they regulate not just the banks, but they regulate taxation. I think one of the things that really came out from looking at the historical events is that there isn't a lot of clarity, in terms of how we as Tai Ji Men are seen as a crime school. And all the revenues that was collected as what we call rate packers are now deemed as a tax entity. So my understanding is that even in traditional cases in the culture within the Chinese practice of Qigong, there is always a disciple and a master ceremony, and that really encompasses what we call the empathy of how we share our respect to our master. In this case, is our shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi. So it seems like even within the culture, the government bodies fail to understand the intricacy of what this is, and still demanded that in a particular year taxation has to be done that way. So it feels a bit weird, So I think, having been part of this for at least 10 years now, I think it's still a big question mark in my mind. So what's happening? What's going on? I'm not being cynical, but I think we have to really stop this tyranny. Exactly, yeah, this is the one. Sorry to interrupt you, but exactly this is what I'm talking about earlier. It's like, why? There's no need, if you have taken away everything except for this. So I really felt very strongly about this. Sorry to be very cynical and sorry to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. So that's why I think all these things make us suspect that there's more behind the scene. And chances are it could be that a lot of people, they already got the benefits, got the bonus, and therefore it is not possible for them to change what they've done or to acknowledge to the public. So definitely this is something I think a lot of people in Taiwan insist on rectifying this. And I think the more to that is, in general, Taiwan has a very positive image in the international community. I don't know what you see in the United Kingdom, but for sure in the Netherlands, Taiwan is considered a country of democracy. I don't know what you see in the UK. Would you imagine such a thing happen in Taiwan?
No, I have lots of ties with Taiwan. Before I migrated over here to UK, I worked in Taipei for around 3 years, on and off. And I think one of the best things that came out from my positive, really positive experience is it is a society that has a lot of fairness in terms of what we call companies that has merits, we really admire some of the values that the Taiwan in terms of technology has contributed to the world at large. So it's very well respected, you're right, and also one of the things that I find, as you have highlighted earlier, was the two different sort of like scales, that is being placed on not just Tai Ji Men, but also on other things. And you keep referencing this thing about bonus, which is quite a traditional thing, I would say. I wouldn't disagree with it. Like we get bonuses here in the UK as well. If you work in a bank, you get X amount a month and all that. So I think to reward government officials, I think it might deem okay or acceptable. But what I really want to stress on is that the understanding is that, okay, so you do not need to say that it's bonus, but you need to understand that there must be a set of rules how all these are being sort of like distributed, in other words. And because this is taxpayers' money, it's public money, so you should not go back into your own pocket or your own bill. It also felt like the case is really about, okay, it's the end of the year, and I need to take a certain quota, and I really need to find something at fault with an organization, even if they're not at fault. Because if you look at the evidence throughout the years, and it's a bad thing because we've got so many years that it's been undeclared, and we still are being deemed as a crime school. But the good thing is that we see evidences of academics and experts on taxation around the world that has come into our case and contributed at large to talk about why this is not correct. Because if I'm wrong, then I'm just wrong. But if there's a lot of people who are experts and they're academics who are talking about equality, who are talking about tax reforms, and they also stand by with us, it also means that something is wrong here. That's why I think when we see two different scales at the same time, it makes us feel a little bit weird. But I still have faith in the legislation and the procedure, and let's hope that we can rectify this in time to come.
Well, certainly, and I think it's really very much about also having conscience in everyone's heart, and having conscience as an individual, especially those government officials, if they have conscience, if they put their hands on their conscience, I believe there are many things will be different today. Well, for example, in the Netherlands, years ago, there was also a very big scandal. So the Dutch government, they made a mistake. So there were a lot of families, they suffer from being taxed because they were accused for fraud, for taking childcare benefits. And then the Dutch government realized they made a mistake, and they came forward, the cabinet, they came forward, they apologized to the public, and they rectified, they made up the mistake. Of course, it's still very sad what happened, because many people, lives of their families were ruined, and you cannot recover the time, recover those things from them anymore, even with this apology. But at least there was an apology made. And what we're seeing here in Taiwan is that it seems the power distance is so high that the government, even knowing that they made a mistake, they wouldn't come forward to say sorry, and they wouldn't take the actions that are needed to rectify this. Well, once again, I think this case is especially shocking to the international society, especially because Taiwan has such a positive image. And now let's listen to some of the opinions from international experts and scholars for them to tell us why it is so crucial and important for Tai Ji Men case to be corrected, to be rectified. Now, let's start from a message from Mr. Massimo Introvigne. He is a founder for the Center of Studies on New Religions. Let's go ahead with the video.
The month of December is so important for Tai Ji Men that I want to participate in this event, if only through a video. What happened with the beginning of the Tai Ji Men case in December 1996 was a historical event. Whether or not the Tai Ji Men case will be solved will also be an historical event. If this case is solved, Taiwan will affirm its democratic credentials. But if the case is not solved, it will continue to taint
that conversation right now, and we talk about conscience, we talk about how conscience builds love, and with the equity coming up and the equality on the same level, then there will be a lot of understanding that we still need to push, because as you can see, the situations in the Middle East, it's not very far from where we are here, right here in this part of the world, between myself and Yin. So if a trigger, it will definitely be bad for the world, because we see pockets of it right now in different parts of the world. And I think the situation must also be respected in a way that there is a lot of understanding. So it appears that Professor Intervini has a good understanding of situations, not just here, but the context is now broken up into different things that he has seen around the world, and he uses this case quite often now in his work. And it's really very highly commendable that he, as an intellectual person, really stands by us, and I truly respect him for that. And I think a lot of individuals will understand this through our work and his work, and we will have to persist on, because this is important for us, and this is really important for humanity, and also the situation in Taiwan right now, which is not very optimistic, as we can say.
No, certainly. I fully agree with you. We have actually more international scholars. They also send the message to both the Taiwanese government and also the international society. Well, let's move on to also Professor Hans Noth. He's the president of the Gerard Noth Foundation for Freedom of Religion or Belief in the Netherlands. Now let's listen to his message, and let's see what he wants to share with us.
Tai Ji Men embodies more than a mere mental or physical lifestyle. It stands as a paragon of unwavering integrity, demonstrating a commitment that transcends financial considerations and exerted efforts. The organization has steadfastly proven its innocence. By upholding the principle of utmost integrity and resisting succumbing to a corrupt tax system, Tai Ji Men refuses to endorse corruption.
Refuses to endorse corruption because I understood also Tai Ji Men was asked to pay just a little bit to settle the case, but Tai Ji Men refused to do that. So Tai Ji Men refused to endorse corruption. And further, he also said, if successfully resolved in the case against the National Taxation Bureau, could in turn become a compelling narrative for future generations. This means the reason why so many people are now gathering there, making this protest and demonstration, is also for the next generation. And he also further on saying that illustrating the triumph of integrity over compromises. So it is really very much about conscience and integrity. Casey, what do you think?
No, I truly agree that Mr. Newt and Yin's point of view on this. I think the picking up of endorsement is important. You know, like we're actually making a point here, right here in the Boulevard. So we are not endorsing, you know, the tyranny actions of the Taxation Bureau, but we're endorsing a new kind of thing. We are talking about a future generation that comes out from this act of discrimination, I would call it, you know, like inequality. So we would really want the next generation to come out and say, yeah, we haven't been there. We really understand how this is going on for our you know, our older generations. But they now seems to really stand by us and they say, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And it seems like the passion comes out from within, even though they have not witnessed the cases of things that has been sort of like fell upon them because they were so young during the happenings. So one of the good things is that we do understand right here in the Boulevard, there is a lot of action going on. We do understand that the younger generation hasn't been part of it, you know, when it happened, but they were there, they were standing there, they were really trying to understand, why are we doing this, you know? They would be asking their older generation, what's going on, you know? But, you know, seriously, I mean, after many years, we could do that, you know, like they were saying, you know, we could do that, you know, we will do that, we will continue to do that. So it's very resounding, it's very optimistic. I think it's pretty much one of the things that we hope to continue. The right endorsement in this manner in the Boulevard, rather than trying to endorse the tyranny government or the Taxation Bureau, that is not necessarily the right thing to do. But we're optimistic, I would say. What do you think?
No, definitely. So I think the most important thing is our resilience, and then also the hope and power of hope is super important here. So we definitely hope for the best for not just Taiwan, but the entire world, for human rights and also for the peace. Well, I think today we really appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation with Casey. I really hope that the case will be solved today, not even tomorrow, but today. For now, let's have a quick video. Once again, let us review all the history of the case as well as its association with the human rights in Taiwan. Okay, and we also want to once again thank Casey for being here today with us.
Thank you, Ian. My pleasure.
I saw a streak of shadow in his eyes. Based on my instinct from years of handling cases, I think that he might have raised goblins.
If based on the look in your eyes, a prosecutor can decide whether to prosecute you or not, then there will be no peace in Taiwan.
I think these values should be honored in tax law as well. The first, second, and third trials all rule the nature of the money in question as gifts. Then it should not be a tax or situation for a cram school.
Because he thinks this is a respect for the master. It is a kind of gift, where the indictment is unacceptable. If the tax authority uses this indictment as the basis for taxation, I think it is questionable.
Code doesn't count. The code doesn't count. The code doesn't count. We would like to commend Tai Ji Men for its contribution to sports and family life education.
It has been confirmed that the money involved is a gift rather than income. So there is no issue of income tax. For the facts confirmed in a criminal court ruling, the administrative agencies have no reason not to adopt them.
You can go to the website of the Control Yuan to see that I have issued 7 corrections. For each correction, the NTB said, we made a mistake. In 2011, I told the Minister of Finance that this case should be closed. He didn't take it as his own business. He thought, I took the bonus anyway, and if there is any tax due, it is you that should pay it.
In the criminal and legislative aspects, Tai Ji Men has been declared innocent of all charges. Tai Ji Men has won the case. As for the National Taxation Bureau in the executive yuan system, our appeal has been heard in the Supreme Court. The final decision of the 3 court trials confirmed Tai Ji Men innocent. At the National Taxation Bureau, within the Ministry of Finance's appeal system, Tai Ji Men once again won the case. Even the control yuan decided that Tai Ji Men is innocent. I can't think of any ways after numerous legislators have inquired regarding this case. I can't think of any other course of action in our country's legal system can be taken to solve the case. I really don't know what is going on. Is it how our country's legal system is designed?
This case has been dragged for more than 10 years and is unable to be resolved. The administrative agencies have to take full responsibility while the administrative agencies exercise administrative discretion. They have to ensure that people's human rights on taxation are protected, which is the most important spirit and objective.
The whole judicial system has proved Tai Ji Men innocent. There's no way the investigation by the tax agencies is clearer than that by the judicial department.
I know this issue has wasted too much time and resource. This is very serious, and it has shaken the 5 branches of government and the foundation of the nation.
Calling on the Taxation Bureau to revoke its illegal tax bills. You just ignore them. Hey, you think you're above us? You ignore courts, the control yuan, and even the legislative yuan. You really think you're a boss?
Here, and all the information and evidence is here. It's spread out all over the floor, and you clearly know that you are in the wrong. What you've said in the past is questionable, but you want to continue to make the same mistake? That's bad. We request that the Ministry of Finance conclude this case in 2 months. Exactly what to do, and what are you going to do? Don't delay anymore.
Gifts in nature. The others all say gifts too. Let the NTB of the Central Area submit the report to the Ministry of Finance. It's the NTB of the Central Area. It's not good to let them take full responsibilities. Just report to the Ministry. Okay, we'll do as the Deputy Minister says. We'll send our official report to the Ministry of Finance. Just now we said to revoke. Revoke it? Okay, area will report to the Ministry of Finance.
The Ministry of Finance sent letters to legislator Qiu Jingtian, Xin Zhetu, and Justin Chao, saying it had demanded the National Taxation Bureau of the Central Area to revoke the execution pursuant to Article 40 of the Tax Collection Act. 4 days later, the National Taxation Bureau of the Central Area in turn sent a letter to the Hsinchu branch of the Administrative Enforcement Agency requesting it to stop the execution pursuant to Clause 3 of Article 9 of the Administrative Enforcement Law.
The bidding process is supposed to be open. I can hear the sound from the auction room. I can hear what happened.
Dropping number 1 to number 100 bids into the tender box.
Which one do you follow for the 1030 action? Please answer. Li Guifeng, Senior Executive Officer. Which one do you follow? No, there is no mention of 1030. You were 11, okay?
We have internal operating guidelines.
Then show them to me immediately.
They are written on the official website.
Okay, then you can show me your website right away.
We don't have the internet here.
How can it be?
Why should government officials follow their conscience? He does not dare to show his moral courage and leave the people in the sun, wasting not only the resources of the people, but also the resources of the country. I think that government officials should be conscientious and should administer policies in accordance with the law and bring this case to an end as soon as possible.
It is taxing illegally. This wrongful and false case has lasted for more than 20 years. If the 1992 tax bill of the Tai Ji Men wrongful and false case is not rectified, then we can say that there is tyranny in Taiwan.
Thousands of people surround the auction site in Miaoli. Even if the iron gate was locked in front of them, the people still sat and wait to defend the land. The Tai Ji Men case, in which over 10,000 people have been victimized, has lasted for 24 years, but the enforcement agency still wanted to auction the land of Tai Ji Men to pay back a wrong tax bill when Tai Ji Men was found not guilty of tax evasion by the court 13 years ago.
If a person on death row cannot be executed when he is later found innocent, then why did the 1992 tax bill issued by the Supreme Administrative Court get executed? Officials from the Ministry of Justice also said it was legal to carry out the enforcement. So is the Su Chan-ho case. It's legal. They could have executed the death penalty. Why didn't they execute it at the time? It's because there is a problem. Since it is a problematic judgment, the enforcement agency should not have executed it. So why did they execute it? Why? It's a question of bonuses. When the Tai Ji Men case was handled like this, will ordinary people encounter the same problem? Definitely.
The Administrative Enforcement Agency is not qualified. It is not objective and neutral, and it is not qualified to enforce the enforcement law. In order to frame people, it deceived the public and broke the law. the truth will finally be revealed.
The state does not have the power to seize people's property, and the administrative system should not persecute people and their family.
The entire auction is completely illegal based on the Supreme Court's decision, Supreme Administrative Court's decision, the investigation report of the Control Yuan, and from the arguments put forward by various experts and scholars both at home and abroad. It is an unlawful judgment, but after the first unlawful auction, it is actually going on for the second time today. Now they are really going to execute it, and they have violated Article 129 of the criminal law for the crime of unlawful expropriation. We will file another lawsuit later.
还是什么？你怎么看是一切？因为刚刚是通过这调案子，我是看，你说要什么？
就这样子办。
后来有人找我们讲，其实我们是这样说的，原来我们怎样看呢？但是你那里面的，我说就是然后我让谁去看？我说你怎么算的？他拿我看，你从哪里来的？你是不是？我说这样不算吧。然后他就说，他说啊，这不查。不查，啊，你要怎么？他说我们是这样的。我在想呢，现在是都这样，哎，要不查，怪我，台湾人啊，找我去。他去年就，
你如果找你去是这个样子的，就是你不管说什么，反正他写他的，他太可惜了。
他是的，他是的，那时候10年前的案子，他是的。
Regarding the Tai Ji Men case, it was taxed from 1991 to 1996. It was strange. How could this happen? So, you see, a search was conducted on December 19, 1996. He said that there was tax evasion. The income tax in 1996 cannot be audited until April 1997. They had not yet filed their taxes. How could you investigate tax evasion? How do you know how they will file their tax return? Therefore, the tax years involved in the case clearly showed that this violated the tax law. Those who study the law know that you cannot prosecute or convict a person without getting the cash flow data. During the search on December 19, 1996, two bank statements show the balance of $22,000. However, the next day, a newspaper published that the master of Tai Ji Men had $110 million income from fraudulent acts and cram school tuition. You can't make such an inference even when you are writing a novel. How did they come up with this number? $22,000 times 5,000 is exactly $110 million. Probably that was how they got the number. The so-called evidence obtained after the search can be proved to be false, because you already said the amount. The transcripts and testimony. When were they done? Definitely after December 20th. Could I know how much tax you have evaded the minute I am assigned to the case when auditing taxes? It's more than illegal taxation. It's the so-called framing. $22,000 was blown up to be $110 million. Then this is all imagined. If they can impose taxes on people without evidence, then do we still need tax agencies? You can collect whatever amount of tax you want if you find more prosecutors like him. It's that simple. It's very clear in the Tai Ji Men tax case that the tax officers and Taxation Bureau imposed illegal taxes. Whether the tax laws applied or the tax demand are not justified. Imposing taxes based on imaginary data is absolutely against the principle that taxes should be imposed according to the law. No other nations that implement income taxes have this kind of practice.
Tai Ji Men进三审疑点。昭告天地，太极门人，捍卫圣地，誓死不屈。
Thank you everyone. Just now we saw again the determination from Tai Ji Men to get the justice. And now if we look at the boulevard, we see that we have a lot of people on the stage holding the sword. Now we also have Lin joining our conversation. Lin, can you please tell us a little bit what are they doing now with all the swords?
So the sword that you saw is actually representing to kill the demons. So what are the demons? It includes the Executive Yuan, the Ministry of Finance, and also the National Taxation Bureau, and also the Ministry of Justice. Because these government authorities, not all of them are like bad, but some of them uses the power, use it because of the bonuses or because of they want to pursue a lot more power. So they persecute the people by the tax and the judicial weapons. And so the reason why we can see the professors and a lot of people on the stage, they took out the sword that represent the justice, represent how the people want to get rid of all these really ridiculous things. Yeah.
Yes, and Lin, actually the two of us, we were together in Chicago 4 months ago. We were attending the Parliament of World Religions, where we also talk about Tai Ji Men case and its relationship with human rights and also the freedom of religion and belief. And I still remember your very powerful sharing at that time. Could you please share with us very briefly about your experience, how you feel so far about Tai Ji Men cases?
Okay. So actually I am also a part of the tribunal member. And so I actually grew up since I was 12, and I joined Taxation since I was 12. So I know that how good this group is, but our government, not everyone, but some of our governments, they kept prosecuting this group by like the weapon that I mentioned, like the tax and the judicial system. And so what we feel is it's that not only just Tai Ji Men is the group that was prosecuted, but also a lot of other Taiwanese, because this is a really wrong system. The judicial and the tax system in Taiwan is not transparent. And also the government there, they don't know about human rights. And so this is actually really different from the foreign countries, because the human right idea in their brain is not that modern. They kept using old anyways, they kept using not that just they used some wrong way to rule the country. But so in a democracy country, the government shouldn't think that they are ruling Taiwan. They should help the people to get a better life, right? So from this Tai Ji Men case, you can see that without the human right mindset, our government won't really give the people in this country a good life. And so also a lot of thousands and even millions of people, they are actually subjected to these illegal persecution by these corrupt bureaucrats. So this is the reason why we have to stand out and to call upon the government to awaken their conscience and to let them know that you should help the people to get a better life instead of persecuting us. Yeah.
Yes, and as we can see right now on the boulevard, there were lots of people holding signs very high, and on the signs it says that we want survival, we want human rights. I remember when we were in Chicago back in August, a lot of people who came to listen to our sharing, our speeches, they were very surprised about what happened in Taiwan, because that's not Tai Ji Men case is something that really strikes people, and people don't think this is something that could happen in Taiwan. And Tai Ji Men, in essence, is an ancient Menpai. Menpai is similar to school. Tai Ji Men is an ancient Menpai of martial arts and Qigong. And Tai Ji Men focuses on cultivation, not only the physical health, but also the heart Kung Fu, as Tai Ji Men would say. And in this essence, the Tai Ji Men is not exactly a religion, but it is very important as a group. The Tai Ji Men promotes the well-being of human beings, and actually Tai Ji Men also tours around the world to promote world peace and love. So if the Taiwanese government redress Tai Ji Men case, there are a lot of significances here. Because it's such an important group in Taiwan. And that's why now we're seeing a lot of people going onto the stage, talking about the case, and once again calling the Taiwanese government to take immediate actions. After all, it's been 27 years. Ling, you are very, very young. I'm not sure 27 years ago if you were born or not, but that's how long the case has been lasting. And Ling, I understand that this morning you were also attending the demonstration. Can you also share with us what you've taken from the event?
So I'm 1 year older than the case. So it is really ridiculous that, over 27 years, the case wasn't resolved. And so today I was really impressed by what happened in Calagalan Boulevard, because there are like almost 10,000 of volunteers and the Taiwanese citizens there. They walked on the street to call upon for their rights, not only just for the tax and legal reform, but also for their happiness of life. Because now why the theme that today we're talking about is like, you know, everyone take their blankets and take their like balls or like something that their necessities to go to the Catalan Boulevard that represents people can't live because of this wrong and not a really good system in Taiwan. And so that's the reason why everyone from every part of the Taiwan went on to the street. And we saw a lot of people, they made some interesting costumes, such as like there are Santa Claus, like there is a black bag beside of them that represent Santa Claus in this holiday. They can't really enjoy the holiday because of the unjustful tax and legal system in Taiwan. So they carry a really heavy tax that issued by the legal tax bill that issued by our government. So this is just one example, but the most impressed scenario that I saw is actually a lot of people, they bring the portrait of their past families, because these people they haven't seen the rectify of these cases, such as the Tai Ji Men case, and they pass away. So I think this is a really sad thing that, like, just we just mentioned about the Tai Ji Men case has lasted for such a long time, for 27 years, almost 28 now. So a lot of people died and haven't seen the case got rectified. And so this is really a crucial thing that we, the people, really want our government to understand, and to really, just as in mentioned, to really take immediate action to redress the case.
Well, Ling, you touched upon something super important, because I have a lot of friends and family right now. They are also at the demonstration. And in fact, my own father, he used to attend the demonstration every year as well, but not this year because he just passed away last year. So actually my family, they were also there holding the photo of my father. And I'm pretty sure that if my father was still being alive today, what he would love to see is that the Taiwanese government just come forward, apologize, and corrected their wrongdoings. This morning, there was also a very significant event in Taiwan, and Tai Ji Men erected a monument to memorize this unjust incident of Tai Ji Men case. So now we're going to have a short video just to share with everyone this unjust sight, and it's called Swiss Mountain Via. Now we are going to watch the video first, yeah?
I remember Shifu liked that place a lot. It had gorgeous views. We would sit there with Shifu and talk about how we would use the place for our future Qigong practice.
Shimu was very considerate and said, if we get our villa ready, when overseas dizi come back, instead of finding hotels to stay, they will be able to stay in this villa.
I can imagine that if this place had been developed according to Shifu's plan, it would have been a wonderful place.
Speaking about this, my heart aches. It really aches. Because it's ruined like this. Now we have no way to save this place anymore.
Who can restore our 25 wasted years?
I found many meditations. How would Shifu feel if he sees this? He has put his heart and soul into this place.
During the first criminal trial, Judge Zhao Ziyong asked Shifu to state his opinion. With tears in his eyes, Shifu said that as contemporary Zhang Menren of Tai Ji Men, he would safeguard Tai Ji Men and his dizi with his life and everything. Regrettably, the NTB simply believed that the case involved tax evasion based on the prosecutor's indictment and imposed a restriction in 1997, preventing Tai Ji Men from disposing the villa. At the time, the validity of the tax bills had not been verified and the criminal decision had not been issued. How could they issue the tax bills? How could they impose double restrictions on the property? That was illegal.
At the beginning of the criminal case, the prosecutor seized all the assets of Zhang Menren and his wife, including a few $1,000s in his bank account, leaving him with no money. The Tax Bureau, based on the prosecutor's indictment, issued sky-high tax bills without investigating the matter. Zhang Menren did not have any money left to provide as collateral for the tax bills. Then an enforcement order would be carried out and his property could be sold. However, the tax bills have been invalid from the beginning and should not have been issued. For over 23 years, Zhang Menren and his wife were unable to use this place. This property had been seized for such a long time, but Zhang Menren still had to pay the property taxes. The government had seized the property for over 23 years, and now this house is dilapidated and lies in ruins.
According to the current regulations, you cannot reapply for a construction permit. It's impossible to demolish and rebuild the house. If you want to renovate, it will cost more than to rebuild.
Now, if we are looking back at the boulevard, we could listen here to share with us right now the details once again about the Tai Ji Men case's latest updates as well. And Aline, I know you are also now soon moving back to the demonstration. Do you have any final message you would like to share with us and the audience?
So I hope that, from the international support, we can really rectify this case because it has lasted for so long, 28, almost 28. And so we actually I'm going to go back to the Kitagawan Boulevard to, host and talk more about and to call upon the government to not only just rectify this case, but also, to save the Taiwan and to turn around our future. Because if this case is not resolved, it represents that the system of tax and legal in Taiwan is still really crucial situation. Yeah. So we really hope that, everyone can gather together and to really care about what is now happening in the so-called democratic country in Taiwan. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lin, for your personal efforts and dedication. We truly believe that with people like you in Taiwan, for sure, things will change, and let's keep our power of hope. The video we watched just now, so it's very important because this site, this Swiss Mountain Via, right now it serves as a very important monument to remember the unjust case of Tai Ji Men. Also, Dr. Hong Daozi, Zhangmenren of Tai Ji Men, this morning during the ceremony also made a speech. And in Dr. Hong's speech, he also conclude his speech with this part of paragraph that I would like to share with everyone. So he stressed that there's a Help those in power listen to their conscience, act rightly, and know that the greatest virtue is in correcting one's mistakes. And I believe Dr. Hong's message is shared by many, many of us. Essentially, what we really want from the Taiwanese government is, once again, put your hands on your conscience and take immediate actions. Now, let's move back to the boulevard, and let's quickly also listen to our lawyer, his comments now about the case of Tai Ji Men.
Yeah, I think the purpose is now being reinforced with some of the things that we've seen. And I think he's now talking really about how we can move this forward. And I think it's still quite a difficult time right now at this moment. We sort of have to mitigate some of the things that we haven't really been able to do. One of those things that I think is really important right now is to really understand and the nature of how things has progressed along. It's not easy. I think he sort of mentioned some key points. But at the same time, I think we have to really be cautious about what's happening, to ensure that we know how to handle this in due time when it happens again. What is our response and how we do it? I think that's pretty important right now. Yeah.
Yes, and Casey, just now when we watch this film about Swiss mountain villa, especially the before and after, I don't know how you feel about that, but personally, I was extremely emotional because I personally know a lot of people from Tai Ji Men who actually went to the site when it was just bought, and a lot of people made a lot of efforts. Really try to renovate the place. There was a lot of time, a lot of efforts. Everyone was volunteer. Everyone spent their own time, their own energy, resources just to make the place good place for people in Tai Ji Men to cultivate their mind and their bodies. So it was really, really, really sad that how things turned out to be, and at the end now it's ruined. It's all ruined. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, the situation is really dire. So the villa is quite a good condition, before it was raided and seized as properties of the government under the tax scandal. So I felt like one of the things that we could have done now is to tear it down, and apparently you can't tear it down because it's being protected for some reason. And the renovation costs or the restructuring costs to make good of this building is now more than the cost of tearing it down. So we're sort of in a conundrum. So we don't really know what to do with it, So one of the things that I felt that could have been done in the right way is to ensure that they take care of the building rather than seize it and then just let it run, and be depleted after X amount of years. And as you can tell, the humidity and the temperature difference in Taipei, during summer and winter is going to sort of like ruin the whole thing. And I think right now we do not have a lot of things that we see as what we call material, properties, but we do have a good spirit, a good mind, a good conscience, and you see understanding the situation through the eyes of the law, as you can see now. It's not easy, but there seems to be, again, back to the Taxation Bureau, there seems to be a bit of a misunderstanding or, not clear about what their procedures are, and it really makes them quite incompetent, as a result of how we see this whole situation unfolding. So yes, I mean, even we look at interviews and cases on the screen right now, which amounts to something like 3 years ago. We do not have a lot of new cases coming out of this nature in Taiwan, as you can tell. So I think somehow they try to use us as a key case, which is again unsupported. It is really kind of weird, in my own opinion, but it felt like there's something going on. We need to unpack it a little bit further.
Oh, thank you very much, Casey. I think I cannot agree with you more. Right now, we have a lot of support and also comments coming from the international society. Let's move on to a video message from Miss Maria Vade, and she's an Argentinian anthropologist. And let's listen to her view about Tai Ji Men case and why it's so important for the Taiwanese government to redress the Tai Ji Men case.
December 19 is a very important date for human rights and freedom of religion or belief, because it is the anniversary of the beginning of a long history of injustice against the Tai Ji Men. The Tai Ji Men have demonstrated bravely for several decades their commitment to justice and peace. Resolving this case once and for all would be the best way for Taiwan to demonstrate that it will not allow corruption to continue to harm its citizens, and it would send a message to the world that Taiwan, as a democratic country and defender of freedom, is capable of self-criticism and correcting its mistakes.
Well, it's really, really very important what Maria just mentioned, that so resolving this case, Tai Ji Men case, once and for all, will be the best way for Taiwan to demonstrate that it will not allow corruption to continue to harm its citizens. And it will send a message to the world that Taiwan, as a democratic country and defender of freedom, is capable of self-criticism and correcting its mistakes. So I think that really the key message here is that Taiwan, the Taiwanese government, needs to show that it is capable of self-criticism and self-correction. This is very, very important. Well, now let's move on to a message from Mr. Marco Respinti. He's a director in charge of Bitter Winter magazine in Italy.
A sad long story that we now call the Tai Ji Men case began many years ago, on December the 19th, 1996. Even if all levels of the Taiwanese justice cleared Tai Ji Men of all false accusation, the consequences, political, personal, economic, and spiritual consequences of that case are still going on after so many years. Taiwan can simply not afford this. Taiwan cannot afford this fault on its democratic reputation. It must solve that case now. It will be very much beneficial for Taiwan, for all the friends of Taiwan as we are, and of course for all the Taiwanese citizens, among which the Tai Ji Men movement.
Yes, Casey, I think we've all seen a lot of read a lot of articles from Marco, and I think once again his message just now was also very, very clear that Taiwan must restore the justice, must return the justice to Tai Ji Men. What do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that we have to talk about is this overarching theme of justice, and I couldn't agree with Marco, because one of the things that's really fundamental to this is that we do not have a clear system in place. in other words, we appear to be a democratic society, but we have not really understood what a democratic society is. So bearing in mind, democracy is not just a word, it has to be practiced. There needs to be a lot of efforts put into place to unpack what we understand democracy is. And I think one of the approaches that we see right now is what we call the scheme. Like we were seen as a crime school, which is kind of like a Ponzi scheme in the European context, but not necessarily something that we would understand. But to be honest, I think one of the main things that came out from there is we were deemed to be liars and cheats and all, but it appears that after a few years of investigation and through bitter winter, Marco has responded by saying, well, look at this, guys, this is not something that is difficult to understand, but it's you, not them, So I think there is a bit of that conclusion coming from a very renowned person running Bitter Winter, and I think all the articles there really talks about equality, understanding of how regimes are being seen as authoritative, and how they use their power to push against the people who are actually doing good for society. So once again, I think as the name says it, Bitter Winter, we are. This thing happened in winter many years ago, and it's very personal to us as well, which again resonates a lot with what's happening right now. Every year at this time, in this moment, in Taipei, we are holding protests. We are telling the government that this needs to be done correctly, and again, they appear to see this as a continuous what I call refusal to acknowledge. It also means that what Marco has said in Bitter Winter is sort of resounding. It's sort of like an infinite loop again, coming back to us every year, and until we want to stop this, we will stop it, not you. We will decide to stop it, and I think we look at it and we say, this is it, we will continue until you give us an answer, because we're not gonna just keep quiet, because that's what a democracy country is, So we stand with justice. We stand with all the academics that stand behind us, that help us do the work. So yes, it is pretty much amazing to see a lot of work going on and a lot of behavior which is positive in the Boulevard today, and also it's quite historic in many ways. I think you would probably feel the same too, Ian.
Definitely. And I think we, on behalf of everyone, we really want to express our gratitude for people like Massimo, like Marco, because they've done so much, and they've done so from their heart to help to promote human rights across the world, and really to help to secure freedom of religion or belief. So they've done so much, and it's our gratitude goes beyond words, and we take this opportunity to say thank you to them, to all these international scholars. The next video we want to share with everyone is from Mr. Davide Amor. He's a lecturer in history and literature, also from Italy. He also has some background related to Islam. So let's listen to this video.
Hi everybody. The solving the Tai Ji Men case holds significant potential for positive impact both within Taiwan and globally. Tai Ji Men, with its emphasis on traditional Chinese culture, promotes values of harmony, peace, and cultural understanding. By resolving the case, Taiwan can showcase its commitment to upholding human rights and fostering a society that values diversity and cultural heritage. Internationally, Tai Ji Men serves as a cultural ambassador, contributing to global efforts in promoting wellness, mindfulness, and the importance of preserving traditional practices. The resolution of the case can pave the way for collaborations and partnerships, fostering cultural exchange and enhancing Taiwan's soft power on the world stage. Furthermore, the case resolution may inspire other nations to recognize the importance of protecting cultural diversity and human rights, contributing to the broader global dialogue on these critical issues. Finally, I personally believe that if the Tai Ji Men case will be finally solved, the most important lesson we could learn from it as a global community is that with patience and perseverance, anything can be achieved and nothing is lost. For us Muslims, patience in the Quran is described like a horse that never gets tired, an army that can never be defeated, and a strong fortress that can never be breached. Patience and victory are twin brothers, for victory comes with patience, relief comes with distress, and ease comes with hardship. Patience is of more help to the one who has it than man, as it helps without any need for equipment or numbers, and its relationship to victory is like that of the head to the body. These, in summary, are the values that the resolution of the Tai Ji Men case can inspire, with the aim of making the world a more harmonious place for everyone. 谢谢.
Now let's quickly go back to Boulevard because there's a very important message right now on the stage in English.
太极门师徒期望透过自身的磨难，来点出台湾体制的不公不义，也期望台湾的这些威权遗毒能够真正的消失。那各位现场的好朋友，现在就让我们一同来进入照赏的画面。
太极门师徒顶天立地，不愧于心，不负于地。虽遭横逆，却仍不改济世助人的初衷。今天我们在这里将见证瑞士山庄成为第一个民间公布的不义遗址，如同碑文所记载，人民涕泣于恶官当道，人权迫害。因此，我们将不公不义之事昭告天下，立碑警示，愿公平与正义存在人心，世人享有公平与正义。那接下来我们纪念仪式即将开始，首先邀请太极门掌门人洪道子博士示意。
太极门乃祖传气功武士修行门派，承传6000多人，知道家心人。
Underpinnings and as we can hear from Davide earlier about talking about the government's impotence, to use the word impotence twice by Davide has a big meaning, and I think we've been there, we've now witnessing Dr. Hong speaking about how in that situation has become a difficult thing for not just the country to have fairness, but also what we see as the future of democracy in many ways. It is not easy to explain it, in front where, right at the place, Dr. Hong is standing there, our shifu. It's not easy for him, he stood there, he belted it out, he spoke about how it can be done. We're very optimistic, we're still optimistic about how things could be done, but we felt this could be, it wouldn't be justice. I don't think that's easy now. I think it will have to be a response from the ongoing government right now to talk about things that happened earlier. But at the same time, we're very happy. We think today there's a bit of that. There's a bit of the optimism that we can see and how we can use that to help us, guide us.
Yes, and I think most of all, it is indeed years of perseverance and unity from not only Tai Ji Men, but together with many groups, because what everyone truly wants is definitely justice and human rights. So this goes way beyond just a single case of Tai Ji Men. It's no longer just about Tai Ji Men case. It's really about human rights and and the just in legal and taxation system in Taiwan. Now let's play a video also exactly we got from this morning so we can have a closer look at the event from this morning.
我们仍旧站在这边，守护着所有的台湾人民，为这个台湾，为我们的下一代带来一个更光明、更美好的未来。
太极门师徒顶天立地，不愧于心，不负于地。虽遭横逆，却仍不改济世助人的初衷。今天我们在这里将见证瑞士山庄成为第一个民间公布的不义遗址，如同碑文所记载，人民涕泣于恶官当道，人权迫害。因此，我们将不公不义之事昭告天下，立碑警示。愿公理与正义存在人心，世人享有公平与正义。那接下来我们纪念仪式即将开始，首先邀请太极门掌门洪道子博士示意。
太极门乃古传气功、武士修行门派，承传6000多年，之道家心源，效法养天地正气。化古今真人之精神，弘法济世，救度人心。为料民国85年12月19日起，遭逢国家公权力破坏之横逆，良知普现，公理昭彰，万民同享，无至。国安太极门掌门人洪道士，中华民国112年12月19日。
Just once again to share with us, everyone. I think at the very end of the inscription, it says that Tai Ji Men stands tall and true, honorable in heart and deeds. Despite adversities, they remain unwavering in their original intention to save and help the world, persisting in justice, defending the truth, their legacy shining internally, witnessed by heaven and earth. This event serves a huge significance. Casey, would you like to share with us how do you feel?
No, I felt really emotional when I saw our shifu, Dr. Hong, standing right there amongst the ruins. But it also signifies some of the things that we said earlier about this optimism, and also how this history is now has to be rewritten. There is a bit of that understanding now that we are slowly moving away from this history, but at the same time we want to use that part of understanding, the ones that we still have, the clarity of what we call justice in our own eyes, in our own effort, in our own approach, and build upon it step by step. And today in the boulevard right now, there's still things happening. Everyone is still holding their torches up. Holding this what we call hope, optimism. I mean, a candle, a torchlight, a light. Is to chase away the evil, darkness. As we can see how this signifies some of the things that we want to do today. But being on location, seeing Dr. Hong, and together with all the disciples, is not just moving for us, but it also means that we have a lot more to do, because after years of ruin, we have to really rebuild it step by step. But it's not necessarily about rebuilding it. What's the next step? Given the situation that we have right now, conscience is important, and also if you understand some of the things that we're doing, we also have a lot of things happening in the new branches that we have in US, and we're building upon that. We're also looking at this, how we rebuild that. As I've mentioned earlier, maybe the rebuilding cost is not worthwhile. So if it's not worthwhile, how do we capitalize on it? How do we think about the next generation? How do we put effort into that? Is the building important? But I think what Shifu said earlier was really resounding. It really says about how we look for situations that is helping us, and we have scholars with experts again. And I think that would be quite nice to really look at other examples, because we've got lots of things lined up, to be honest. We can go on forever, in other words, but we want to get the key information right now. And I think optimism is one of them, and passion is one of them. But I believe we have more. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. And speaking of passion, if you look at the boulevard right now, how many people are still there? What time is it now in Taiwan? I think it's already 9 p.m. It's a winter
Yeah, it is
day.
9. Yeah, it's winter. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
9
it's wet as
p.m.
well.
already. Yeah, and there are still so many people, and I think there are even more people coming to this demonstration now. It really shows how people care about this subject, how people care about their rights, how people care about human rights in general in Taiwan. And look at how many youngsters over there. I think right now there's a group of young people sitting right now on the stage. It's still very unbelievable. I can hardly imagine this happening in Europe Tuesday evening. This is something I find it very difficult to believe. Yeah.
Exactly, 100%.
Well, next, let's following what Casey you just mentioned, let's now listen to other messages from some international experts. So the next will be Miss Stefania Celuti. She's the external relations manager of MEDIS, the Major Emergencies and Disasters International School in Italy.
December is a sad month for Tai Ji Men, as they remember the beginning of their unjust persecution in 1996. It was a human-made disaster, and sometimes they are worse than a natural disaster. However, human-made disaster can be rectified. Solving the Tai Ji Men case would not only restore justice to Tai Ji Men, but also improve human rights and the international image of Taiwan that had been severely damaged by the case.
So I really think Stefania's point is something that she said really impressed me. She said the Tai Ji Men case is a man-made disaster. It's a human-made disaster. It's not even a nature disaster. And what the really sad part is this is caused by humans, but the positive side is that because it's caused by human beings, so it should be able to rectify. Right, Casey, what do you think?
No, 100%, because I when I heard he will make disaster, I'm like, ha ha. No, I mean, with a very cynical ha ha ha. So the thing is this, okay, so we're not really understanding how this evolved, because again, we're not the first person to see the property being seized and all these crimes of taxation that we were alleged upon. But it feels like all this, I believe we know that tax is human made. It's not a natural. It's not natural to have had taxes. In other words, tax doesn't fall from a tree. So I think one of the things that we have set upon in humanity is that civilizations have gone through a few stages of what we call monetization, and where does government get their money from? Tax. So one of the things that we have really understood through the recourse is that it's no longer a discourse. We're going on a recourse. Which is really about how we are making do with what we have, but this human-made disaster is truly resounding when Stephanie talks about it, because it was a thing after we have invented money, and at that time we didn't really realize what it was. I believe humanity didn't really realize what it was, but the governments do know that it is a form of revenue, and to really be so forceful upon the public or the citizens who pay the taxes is again something that is unspeakable, because you sort of have to depend on the public, the citizens to support you. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So this man-made disaster is not caused by global warming. Again, maybe it's a man-made disaster, but the thing is, we have now reached a point where we understood that Stephania has brought up this. You have asked for it, and we have actually rebelled. So the government asked for it, but we say no. But the strongest part of this discussion is really about how we build not just the resilience, as Linia you said earlier, but also how we improve the situation, not through evolution. We have to start a revolution. We have to stand up and do this right now, because there's no evolution. Evolution is too slow. We have to go into a revolution to kickstart the things. And I believe this is it. This man-made disaster can be stopped. Unlike human-made disaster, unlike natural disasters, we can't stop it. But I think we can do something with this. And why are we doing this? Because we're doing the right thing, and because of all this, a lot of people are now really standing behind us to do certain things. I believe you agree with me. And
yes, and I think now we are going to go back to the boulevard, because there's a very beautiful thing now going on the stage. And in the meantime, echoing what Casey you just said, Tai Ji Men case was fabricated, and sadly enough, Tai Ji Men case is not the only case to our knowledge that was fabricated and that was not redressed even till today. And that is the reason why today we're seeing over 10,000 people gathering right now at the boulevard, and so many people are protesting. And because once again, it's not just an individual case, a singular case of Tai Ji Men. It concerns so many people in Taiwan. And think about the fact that if organizations like Tai Ji Men, who have so many people, cannot get their justice, then let alone a lot of individual victims, what can they do? As an innocent citizen, what can they do to combat with the state power? Now, if we can take a look at the boulevard, I think there's a very beautiful song going on right now. Very beautiful singing. She's the deputy director of this association called CAPLC in France. Let's listen to her comment about Tai Ji Men case and why it's so crucial to solve this case right now.
On this significant day, the 28th anniversary of the Tai Ji Men case, I would like to reflect on the potential impact and benefits that the resolution of this case could bring to Taiwan and the world. First, the resolution of the Tai Ji Men case would promote cultural diversity and understanding. Tai Ji Men is not just an organization. It is a guardian of traditional Chinese culture, particularly the ancient art of Tai Chi. By allowing Tai Ji Men to flourish without legal burdens, Taiwan will enable the preservation and dissemination of this valuable cultural heritage. Second, the resolution of the Tai Ji Men case would enhance Taiwan's international reputation. By demonstrating a fair and just legal system, Taiwan can show its commitment to protecting the rights of cultural and spiritual organizations, thereby gaining respect on the global stage. Third, Taiwan's proactive resolution of the Tai Ji Men case could set a positive precedent, inspiring other countries to protect and support similar entities and fostering a global environment that values cultural diversity and spiritual pursuits. Finally, the resolution of the Tai Ji Men case would exemplify the strength of justice and the rule of law. A fair and just legal resolution not only upholds the principles of democracy, but also reinforces Taiwan's commitment to human rights and individual freedoms.
Well, I think a very important key point, takeaway message from Christine just now is that what she rightfully pointed out, by demonstrating a fair and just legal system, Taiwan can show its commitment to protecting the rights of culture and spiritual organizations like Tai Ji Men, and thereby gaining respect on the global stage. So I still don't know till today if Taiwanese government understands the significance of Tai Ji Men case at the level of the international society. Does the government understand how the current ongoing unjust case damage the image of Taiwan in the international society? Casey, what do you think?
I think one of the things that we have unpacked today is that there's a commitment. It's sort of like what we call this half foot in, half foot out. Yeah, so it's like testing. So again, the chronological events has happened throughout the years, and maybe many generations has passed. So there's always a term that we use here, hot potato, passing the hot potato. So now the potato has turned cold and is no longer hot. And I think that might be a case of really reigniting that fire. I think she has said very well in her video. I think one of the things that Christine said, again, has resonated very well with us. It's really about commitment, going back to where we are. All these things that you see right now in the Boulevard, they're all about commitment. We're committed to do this, and we will continue to do this until we get a proper address or reply back from the authorities. It might be very difficult now because going back decades, so we think there's still a chance to do it. And I use the term passing the hot potato. It's turned cold now, but it doesn't mean that it can't be reheated. But we would really want this to not stop, not start again. Stop. So this is what we want, and we still have red hot activities going on in the Boulevard right now, and we have features, we have performances in traditional languages, belting out some of the tunes that we haven't really heard for a long time. It is really resounding. I mean, this whole And I think what we need now is commitment from the government.
Yes, certainly. And I think commitment is the key, at least to start everything, just to start. And I think what's really remarkable about Tai Ji Men is that during these 27 years of ordeal, of hardships, Tai Ji Men never gives up its hope. And furthermore, Tai Ji Men continues promoting the culture of peace with love and conscience throughout the world. In fact, the delegation has been to over 103 countries. And the latest one was in San Marino in Europe, was last month. So it's outstanding that even though they are going through such difficult situations, such an unjust situation, but they don't give up. And with the strength, with love, they still want to do something positive for the world. And well, now let's watch a short video to look at Tai Ji Men from a different angle. Yeah. Okay, so I think that was really, really impressive because you see people from all walks of life, different ages, gender, and together in Tai Ji Men, they aim for the same thing, and that is world peace through culture preservation. And do you want to share with us? How do you feel after watching this video?
100%. Yeah, so it's really emotional. I mean, if you look at Dr. Hong, our shifu, traveling around the world to preach what we call the conscience of society, it is really resounding. It's completely out of this world. Because of all these travels and all this preaching, we have understood the deeper meaning of what we are doing right now. It means that we do understand the conundrum that we have. We're trying to rebuild. We're trying to understand a little bit deeper about the human condition. But at the same time, we cannot stop just by saying we did this, we did that, and it's not enough. So we are continuing trying to improve ourselves through the goodwill, the gesture, and also understanding through the activities of realigning our conscience on a deeper level, where we can, what we say, do good, for the future generations to come. I think in the little movies, and also now right here in the Boulevard, there is a bit of that happening right now, I think. Shall we go back?
Yes, Now, going back to the Boulevard, we see a lot of youngsters standing on the stage with lily in their hands, and they are sharing their experience over these 27 years. I think a lot of them, when Tai Ji Men case occurred, probably they were not born yet. And basically this case accompanied them to grow up, which is sad. But you can also see there's a lot of strength and courage coming out of this.
Yeah, I truly agree. Yeah, that there is a lot of those enthusiasm coming out, and some of the sessions that we see right now really is about how the younger generation is now stepping up instead of stepping down to help with what we see. And you can see right here on the scenes, there's a lot of things, some of the members have also passed away, and they're now revealing themselves through photos being, handled by the younger generation. So we are now trying to understand a little bit more how this becomes part of us in the future. So the handing down, the respecting of elders is really resounding in what we do. So our overarching understanding is really about conscience, and you can see through this intergenerational act, we have transcended beyond just what we call conscience. Now this is more like humanity, and this is what it should be about. So again, 28th anniversary of the incident is not necessarily something that we want to, publicize, but look at this. I mean, 28 years, and the time has come to honor this, So I think one of the things that we have to acknowledge is that as human beings, we honor the dead. We are the only species in the world, that honor the dead. Not other animals do it, but at the same time, honoring this for the last 28 years is a bit long, I would have guessed. And but the younger generation stepped up, and we are here to provide those as well. And I think it's pretty much one of those things that I think, yes, there is hope. We do understand this can be a difficult situation for them, but on the stage right now, you see the symbol of respect release, and then you see the symbols of respect, and photographs of the deceased members who have joined in the cause earlier, but are unable to see the flotation of this in the near future. So so that can be quite difficult. Yeah, but it is a right way to do. It is the right way forward.
It's a very, very emotional scene right now on the Boulevard. The lady who is now on the stage holding microphone, expressing her personal sharing is linked to we live in France, I think, for almost 20 years. And we all know about her personal story, which is extremely moving. And her father used to be a Tai Ji Men dizi as well, and he has passed away. But he is a very inspiring personnel. He inspired many of us. In fact, on the stage right now, I recognize a lot of familiar faces, and I can see a lot of youngsters right now. And I know them since they were children. And it's really nice to see how they've grown up and how they keep on fighting for justice. Very emotional. I'm seeing my mother now as well, and she's holding the photo of my father. And I just wanted to say, I feel really, really proud. We are all part of this, part of fighting for justice. And it's never just about ourselves. It's for many, many people in the world. Even it's not just about Taiwan. It's about human rights, and human rights are supposed to be universal.
Exactly. So honoring the dead, honoring our forefathers, and respecting some of the things that we do in life is part of what we do. It's innate. It is not a question. It's not even a duty. You know, it's an intuition. We go and look at what Ling Chu has done, and the forefathers are really understanding what we do. And Yin just says, I can see your mum and follow your dad, and it's really resounding. It's really important as well, because we see this as what we see, but the dead couldn't see it. You know, the dead is not going to resurrect, and again, history is not going to come back again. But we are pretty sure that all this is not going to come back to haunt us, because we now have the next generation stepping up. And I think one of the things that we can understand from what's happening here at the Catalan Boulevard is that we do have the spirit, and it's not necessarily something that we own. You know, we get this enthusiasm and this spirit through the acts of what we call less favorable kind of conditions being set upon us, and we are now ever more optimistic that this is going to be getting better, because if one voice is not enough, then we have thousands of voices, and all these voices are now part of us as well. You know, it's not you know, we're not asked to do this. You know, we do this out of our own free will, and again, this is like intuition. You know, it's not like turn left, turn right. You know, we just do it because I think there's something right about what we see here. And if you see Ling Chu, who's now on the stage still, she has a lot to talk about, and being part of a family that has been torn apart. It wasn't really easy for her, but there was a bit of that. And now that her father is not with us anymore, there's a bit of things that we can sort of like recapitalize, rethink, reflect upon. And this really says a lot about what we're trying to do here by setting this commemoration event, trying to reflect upon some of the things that we could do moving forward. And I think this reflection is really important, because without this, we're just sort of passing time, and the time that's passed need not necessarily be rebuilt again or recaptured again. But because we made a point, we made it such a big impact on the boulevard, which is a prime location in the capital city, we are now more optimistic than ever. Yeah, I think that's something that came out from it. I think some of the things that we see right here is not difficult to understand. You know, so we can still think about this. But I would say we're not victims anymore. We're coming out from being a victim to now something about rebuilding, something more than just rebuilding. We are optimistic about the future. I think probably Yin will probably agree more with me than ever.
Yes, no, certainly I can agree with you more. This is certainly very, very true. And the sister just now on the stage, so I still remember her personal story when the December 19 incident happened. Her family was really persecuted. So the policemen went to her house, and it was really, they were caught off guard. And her parents were really put into huge troubles. And later on, her father was taken away and put into prison. Later on, although after years that her father got the wrongful imprisonment compensation, but you know, nothing can be repaid in this case, because your reputation was lost. Your relationship with your family, your friends were all ruined, and your life was ruined. So this sister, we know she then later on moved to France. But this incident in her life, this tragedy can never be erased. And what's more painful is that another 27 years passed by, still we cannot justice. And her father now passed away, and so did my father. And it's really sad that they cannot wait until the day that we get the justice from the government. So this is something really, really we hope that we can put a stop, the government can put a stop right now, right here. It should have been done yesterday, not even tomorrow.
Exactly. I think the things that we see right now is so Ling Zhi's son is now quite old. We saw him the other day, and Gautier is now a fine young man, we would say. Now things are getting a little bit bigger. Yeah, we're just using the words here to say 28 years, as a thing, it's now really too much. But again, I would completely agree with Ian about how situations is now becoming a little bit better. And on stage here again, who's another family member trying to speak some understanding through the conversations that we have earlier with other brothers and sisters. But one of the things that we found out was that there wasn't anything that we can sort of like continue, so we didn't really know what to do at that time, but being so she's now responding to some of the things that happened earlier. But you could say that maybe we are not there, we don't have to care, but yes, her life is impacted upon it because there's a family involved, and most of us are part of Tai Ji Men through the relationship of the family, and this is important because it's not the proximity, but it's the heart and the connections that we have that really build upon the things that we see here. So there's a bit of that understanding that is now going on stage in the Catalan Boulevard, and there's a lot of activities that might have consumed us earlier. A little bit of emotions, as you can tell, but I think we do stand by some things that we see. We're not going to go away. We're just going to say what we think is it's not just what we think is correct, but what we think it should be said. Based on the things that has happened earlier. So the preaching continues. The redress is there. We want to seek some closure, which we see not coming, but we're optimistic with it. We are now late in the evening. I suppose it's about 8, 9-ish in the boulevard. There's a lot happening there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very emotional. The brother who was talking just now on the stage, and I recall that this year in June, we went to Lithuania together, and also in Lithuania, in an international academic event, we talk about the importance of secure safeguard and the freedom of religion or belief, exactly by reviewing the case of Tai Ji Men. So it's again, it's very emotional and also very touching at the same time. At this time of the year, to see everyone now gathering together to fight for the justice, and it's really important to remember that during all these 27 years, why Tai Ji Men keeps on doing what they are doing is really because the bond between them, this bond, this love among each other, but also the love for the country, and that is Taiwan, and the determination to advance tax rights and legal justice in Taiwan. So there's, as you say, Casey, there's definitely a passion. There's definitely a passion that make people stand there, and also because people didn't give up yet their hope of Taiwan, and that's very important. I think very soon there was also going to be a very beautiful song on the stage. But I think right now what we are seeing at the boulevard is also people try to show their the emotionals, but also their wishes, and through some cultural gestures. And so you can see some people are ringing the bells. Typically you see that during, I think, funerals, for instance. But this is really a message for the government to really take it serious now.
Yeah, so when we say we make some noise, we do make noise. But at the same time, we do understand that there is a bit of activity that might not be truly representative of what the issue is, like the end of democracy or the beginning of justice. We do not see that right now, but we're not completely hopeless. We're still hopeful. We still think that we can revert the situation. All the symbols that you see on stage and off stage are really about how we pay respects in the most traditional way. We make the noise, we resurrect the dead, we honor them. But at the same time, if you apply the same analogy to what we see out there, the end of democracy, no, we are not hopeful of that. We still think democracy is prevailing. We want to seek justice, and we hope that injustice is eradicated. There's also a bit of understanding that in the middle of the night, if people are really clear about what it is at the moment, there will be more clarity coming up in the future. So it is not just hundreds or tens of hundreds, but you could see perhaps thousands of people now gathering around the Catalan Boulevard. And we're still there. I mean, we have to be part of what it is. And at the same time, there is a bit of a reflective moment that we see in everyone. They're starting to think about how things are moving. So what's happening? Why are we doing this? There's a bit of that. And this is not to show off. This is to really voice out some of the things that we felt not fair for us. And we are now civilized. We approach the issue through recitation of our songs, of our beliefs. And we promote what we call conscience. And this is important because we still stand there and be part of the team, although we are hundreds of miles away. But we operate more on that level because one of the things that is really important is that we have to really stick to this. We cannot just let it be. We have to stick to what we believe in so that we can get some confirmation from what there is further down the line when there is confirmation. So we must continue this until someone says something about our case.
Yes. Now I think they're singing the song right now. Let's listen to the side. Can we go back to the stage? Yeah. The name of the song is Be Brave for Love. So once again, as we mentioned just now, at the end of the day, it's all about love. It's the love we have for each other, for ourselves, also for the people for Taiwan that keep us persistent and brave till today.
台湾的关键时刻，今天我们每一个人站出来，我们就已经成功了。接下来，我们要凝聚大家的心力，一起出征！
And this song, children, specifically, you say children in the ancient times before you go into a battle or fight. But of course, here it's symbolic, and what it really means is that for everyone together and encourage.
我们一起用我们手中的光照亮这一片黑暗。我们相信光明总会到来。
with fighting with the sword and dagger, but it's really about the belief that we can do and how we can overturn some of the injustice that we see out there. It is important that we still understand this as the prerequisite to true democracy, because without this, nobody will bother, especially people who are now handling the case or trying to understand what we are doing at the moment. This children for us is an important part of Chinese culture because of the way battles are fought and how we use the traditional method of Qigong in our practice, and how this really impacts upon our health and our well-being. And as you can see, a lot of the brothers and sisters who are there right now in Taxation Bureau, it's close to night time now, or it's way past night time for some, and they're still there. And this means that there's a lot of positive effect that came out through what we do, and this must carry on, because this must be the thing that we do as Tai Ji Men, and how the case must stop being reproached upon in the near future, and an answer that has to come out immediately rather than taking another 28 years to unfold.
Yes. Let's enjoy the song on site. And after the song, we will end our program today with a very moving video.
本台情绪，讯息来到我已知晓，我已明了。挺进马场，我心澎湃，我心澎湃。
经典为我们献上真心，环环相扣为我们认定今生，这一切都是为了爱，让心中的爱灌溉血汗交融的大地，散发出爱的芬芳。 心中的爱，温暖血泪交织的生命，燃烧出爱的光芒。
回想当时这首歌的背景呢
Remembering the memory of this song, it should be in the year when the Tai Ji Men 1219 incident happened. At the time, Taiwan had several major social criminal cases, and the so-called religious purge was in full swing. All major religious groups in the country were targeted, and Tai Ji Men was also subjected to unjust disasters. During this movement, Ho Quan Jen, the prosecutor who broke the law and abused his power, arrested and prosecuted Tai Ji Men shifu for no reason. When shifu was imprisoned, Tai Ji Men dizi began manually weaving heart lotuses, with a total of 16,666 weavings completed.
During that turbulent time, my heart was filled with resentment and injustice. Why would our country be so cruel to us? We did nothing wrong, and the incident caused so much unwanted misunderstanding among our relatives. I believe I have been completely let down by this country, but, after this song was made, it became clear that the thing shifu taught us was hidden in my heart, and it was love.
Even though the criminal case was acquitted and stated tax-free, the tax bill was not settled as a result of the criminal case, as the Deputy Minister of Finance promised. Even in 2010, the National Taxation Bureau and the Administrative Enforcement Agency worked together and attempted to auction off our properties. For the first time, we stood on Katagalan Boulevard, making the Tai Ji Men case public and officially exposing the dark side of law and taxation. We used the pain we felt along the way to bring awareness to more tax victims who could only suffer alone. We also drew the attention of more experts and scholars to research and speak out about the institutional aspects of the legal tax system and the lack of practical operations. As a result, the Tai Ji Men case has earned the name Law and Tax Mirror. We have begun by defending our homeland and moving down the path of defending democracy and the rule of law.
Through this journey, I have learned from our shifu that we should love not only ourselves, but also all the people around us.
I have learned to follow my conscience and insist doing the right things.
I've learned to become braver and stronger with bigger love.
Tai Ji Men is determined to be brave for love.
We are really fortunate to have such a brilliant master.
Have you ever seen an angel of love?
When the Chinese version of the song, Love, was announced in March 1997, Shifu's commitment to overseas promotion always looked forward. Shifu hence asked to sing the song in English. The Chinese version showed the sincere and genuine love from Dizi to Shifu. To love Shifu is to spread Shifu's love to humanity. The English version further expanded the scale of love and showed the love for the world. The song demonstrated our action of promoting love of the world. The English version of Love has gone beyond the scale of that of Chinese version, showing the selfless love to all beings.
Shifu continues to lead Dizi to promote love and peace across the world. He always teaches us to do things that benefit all beings. Shifu teaches us to be grateful every day and to pray and bless all souls. Shifu reminds us not to underestimate our thought of goodness, no matter how small it may be. Shifu enlightens our good thoughts and intention to help the world become a more peaceful place. Thank you, Shifu.